Hi, this is Dr. Eric Westman with another edition of Ask Adapt. Today is dealing with keto myths. The first myth in a keto diet is that calories don't matter. They do. It's just that most people don't have to count them. And even macros. Most people don't have to count macros if you stay to a certain set of foods. So Mist has a question. I have a lot of fat to lose. Should my fat macros be lower and my protein macros be higher? Do calories matter if I'm doing well? Well, yes, calories matter, but most people don't have to count them. And most people in my clinic don't even count macros at all. They just follow very low glycemic foods, and the hunger goes down, people eat less. Vicky asks, does eating low calorie slow your metabolism when doing keto? Is there a calorie number we should stay above? Again, I don't teach calorie control. It really happens automatically. Now that the science is being done, yes, on any diet that has lower calories than before, your metabolism slows. That's an adaptation that occurs, and it's normal. It's not bad. Jennifer asks, gluconeogenesis, true or false? How much does it affect LCHF or keto? Does it have more effect, gluconeogenesis, on diabetics as opposed to non-diabetics? Great question. Nobody really knows the answer. A lot of people are putting out statements about the importance of it, and no one really knows the extent to which it's important for blood glucose control when you're keto adapted or as you're becoming keto adapted. If you have diabetes and you're eating carbs and gluconeogenesis is going full force, that's the old carb eating world, and now you're into the fat burning and fat eating world. It may not apply. So the calorie myth leads to several mistakes that I've seen in my own practice. Elizabeth asks, number one nonsense thing I hear is all you can eat fat bombs. Not necessary. Well, I agree, Elizabeth. One of the most common mistakes I see is fat bombs or oily drinks, and people not paying attention to the amount of calories in these things. And that's a cause for things not working in terms of weight loss. Watch out for the calories. Remember, calories matter. It's just we don't have to count them. I have to eat a certain amount of protein or fat grams per day, or I'm trying to get my calories up. Another thing you don't have to worry about. Shelley asks, I'm 56 years old. I've lost 16 pounds in 3 weeks. I have a hard time getting enough calories in. How much is not enough calories? Again, the calories are pretty much automatic. When you're eating good protein, which is the number one thing your body needs, don't worry about the calories. It's pretty much automatic. If you find yourself not eating anything, or you're under, say, 1,800, 600 calories a day consistently, that's something that we think in the medical world you need to be followed by a physician or someone who understands the weight loss and how it affects the body, how it affects the other medical issues that you have. Marie asks, could you address starvation mode? I eat only once a day and can't possibly get in enough calories. Well, remember, don't worry about the calories. It's okay to eat once a day if you're not hungry. Starvation mode or a reduction in your metabolic rate when you've lowered the calories is a normal thing. Another myth, so that was the calories don't matter myth. Another myth is everything gets worse. Carol asks or says, I've heard many people mentioning their fears about getting gout, kidney stones, and gallstones if they follow a ketogenic diet. How do we respond to these kinds of issues? Well, I've lived through now 20 years of the science and the calling out of you're going to die if you do this, you're going to die a slow, painful death. I mean, it really hasn't occurred. The big things that everyone said would happen haven't happened. What is remaining, though, are the little things, and I'll get to that in just a second. But definitely everything doesn't get worse. Candy asks, even to the extreme, my cousin won't speak to me because, in her opinion, her doctor tells her this low-carb way of eating will ruin your metabolism. You'll end up with autoimmune disorders and kidneys will fail. Can you ask me, or can you tell me why she would think this? Well, because we were all taught that. But for me, I started learning about this 20 years ago, and we're teaching people as best we can about how good it can be. Her cousin has autoimmune disorders, osteoarthritis, and type 2 diabetes. Generally, these things get better on a keto diet. She blames this way of eating because her doctor told her that's what brought all of this on. Well, I just don't agree with that. It's hard to fight other professionals other than with education and with studies and clinical experience. So one myth is everything gets worse. Well, that's definitely not true. The next myth is everything gets better. Well, that's not true either. There are lots of things like the common cold and appendicitis and things that still are going to happen even if you're not eating carbs. But everything gets better where the data really are needed to know if it's any more common than if you're eating more carbs than fat. There are medical conditions like gout, gallstones, kidney stones, diverticulitis. We really don't know if these are more common if you don't eat carbs than if you do eat carbs. That's what further science has to show. Now, Jody asks, I've been without a gallbladder for 20 years. I've been doing keto for 6 weeks and noticed a slow weight loss. Is it possible it's because I don't have a gallbladder? Well, I've had a lot of people in my clinic who don't have gallbladders now over the last 10 years, and they seem to do fine. Is it possible there's a little less weight loss? Possible, but it still can work. I wouldn't worry about that, Jody. Paula says, I've had a very bad bout of diverticulosis, or maybe it's diverticulitis. I think of the itis as the condition that leads you to the hospital. I believe eating keto has caused some part of this. Any suggestions to prevent this while eating keto? That was one of the things we were all taught, that you had to have more fiber to prevent diverticulosis. Don't have seeds, don't have things that might get caught in these little outpouchings. I have to say, no one really knows. If someone has diverticulitis, a history of it, I don't tell people not to do this. If somebody has it during the process, I don't tell people not to eat this way. It's one of those things that further research is going to have to really tease out, because the idea that this causes it in everyone certainly is not true. And the extent to which it might affect things, we really don't know. Sonia asks, I have perimenopausal palpitations. I'm scared to do keto because they might make things worse. Well, that's another thing that just is not true, that keto will prevent menopause or other things, although there's a strong signal that it will reduce premenstrual symptoms in young folks. A lot of people have told me that, but it's not going to change menopause, and it may affect the symptoms a little bit, but this seems something related not to the diet, but to the life change. Nelda asks, is there any evidence that COPD, emphysema, can improve on a keto diet? Well, it's interesting. In theory, one needs less oxygen when they're eating a keto diet because fat burning requires less oxygen than carb burning. I have to say I've seen asthma improve. That's the reversible part of lung conditions, but I haven't really seen COPD improve, although if there's a reversible part to the COPD and asthmatic component, I would expect that it might actually help. I'm Dr. Eric Westman, and this has been another edition of Ask Adapt. Thanks for watching. Send us your comments and suggestions below. Click to subscribe so you don't miss out on further editions of Ask Adapt.